Again, you're putting questions in my head, and I'm going to come back to them if I remember with my little pad. But we still have to tick off some others. Free laptops for every child in primary school.
Look,
good economic tax sense for a money man such as you.
Let's look at it from two perspectives. Let's look at it from the money man perspective, and then let's look at it from the country's perspective. The money man's perspective, we can't afford it. 53 billion shillings has been allocated over 3 years to the laptops. So 17 billion a year, or just about 17 billion a year. Where is that money coming from? We don't have it right now. We've got teachers who are clamoring for higher pay. And in a way, rightly so, they're saying, well, if you're going to be able to give laptops, then why aren't you paying us more? Why aren't you training us so that we can use these laptops for the purpose of the children? From the perspective of the country, yes, technology has to be there. And I guess, as you said earlier, all the symbols are there, the digital new government, the same colored ties, the iPads to read your speech, etc. It's all there. Technologically, I think it's a superb idea. Get your youngsters technologically empowered at an early age. But maybe it's not the time. First, we've got to we come back to the infrastructure.
Right.
If the infrastructure is not in place, if you don't have schools, if children are sitting around a tree being taught, a laptop is going to be of little or no use to them.
Right, okay. So you alluded there to the teachers' strike. Would you like to say a bit more? The teachers' strike in particular, because if you've said enough about the teachers' strike, then I want to go to the dread word VAT Bill 2013.
Well, look, to me it was inevitable that the teachers would go on strike. And it was inevitable that they would ask for more pay. It also seems to me inevitable that other arms of government, civil service employees, etc., are going to ask for more pay. It all stems from what has really happened in terms of, to me, the members of parliament asking for greater pay on the first day that they came into office suggests to me that the focus isn't there.
Setting the wrong precedent.
Absolutely the wrong precedent. I think if we were to focus on building the country, building the infrastructure, and therefore building the economy, no one is going to need to ask for more pay because it's going to come in automatically. We're going to see revenue collections go up. If you look at a chart of revenue collections over the years, you'll see that in the years where GDP growth rate has been high, 2007 for example.
When you said it was 7.1%,
7.1%, yes. The increase in revenue collections was much more significant because the economy is thriving. And so what we've got to do is get the fundamentals right. And I don't think laptops and this sort of thing is getting the fundamentals right at this stage. They're great ideas.
Right, okay. Time is not on our side. Let's go to the VAT Bill 2013. People are going on strike, the COFEC are on strike. Should I, as a Mwananchi, also be going on strike to make sure that demonstrating rather, so that this bill doesn't get passed?
Look, let's...
Because you've just said to me, we need to get some money. So should we be criticizing our government when it comes up with a method of getting more money? No, in other words, this is a draconian measure. We're not going to like it, but we have to deal with it anyway. Otherwise, the future is bleak.
Okay, well, let's look at the existing law that we have. Our existing VAT law came into being in 1990. Over the years, considerable lobbying was done. Today, we have in excess of 450 items that are zero rated, i.e. you supply them with 0% tax. You have over 320 items which are exempt from VAT. This is as a result of constant lobbying over the years. Now, what does the new VAT bill do? It takes all those items out, or virtually all of them out.
The zero-rated ones?
The zero-rated and the exempt ones.
Right.
And makes them standard-rated.
Right.
Fine, that's going to increase your revenue collection. However, my problem with the VAT bill, and I will say that it is a much better piece of legislation than the existing legislation that we have. It will result in less ambiguity. It's much easier to follow, but...
Isn't the understanding also that it's international practice? I read somewhere that this is what happens everywhere in the world and Kenyans should just sort of, take their turn.
No, I'm not sure I agree with that, because I feel that we have moved from one extreme, which is too many exemptions, too many zero-rated items, to the other extreme of virtually none. And there is a middle ground there which we've got to strive to found. Look,
but
even in
the
the
government
UK,
has reassured us how ugali will not be touched. The three essentials that are the staples of our diet will continue to be zero rated. It has behaved in a paternalistic, loving manner to its citizens.
Let me tell you that last year, when the VAT Bill 2012 was issued, and it's the same bill, just changed slightly. It first started as VAT Bill 2011, came out in 2011. The Cabinet...
Under Robinson Githai, sure.
Yes. It first came out under Uhuru Kenyatta. In fact, it was his idea, but I think he'd stepped down by the time the first bill came out.
Right.
The Cabinet, Mr. Kibaki's Cabinet, categorically sent the bill back and said, you cannot tax basic food commodities. This was VAT Bill 2011. VAT Bill 2012 was issued under Mr. Githai, and sure enough, they were being taxed. And now we're hearing maize and maize flour and bread, etc., will not be taxed. But look at the current bill. In there at the moment, it is taxed. In fact, it has gone a step further. We had a period of 3 years when medicines would continue to be zero rated. That's been removed. They'll
Let's
become
just go
taxable.
off at a tangent. Let's go off at a booming sort of brick economy like India. You must know the answer. What do the Indians do in this situation that we might emulate? I'm trying to say, can't we copy someone, a precedent that's been set that works?
Okay, well,
or are we reinventing our own sort of special Kenyan wheel?
Well, VAT has been around in a lot of regimes for a long time. Even the UK today does not tax basic food for human consumption. So why do we feel we need to do that? I totally agree with the principle that we need to tax more items. But I'm saying that there is a middle ground there which we don't seem keen to want to find at the moment, and that is resulting in all these demonstrations and what have you. Now, I'm not advocating that we should go out and demonstrate,
right?
But
right. Okay.
That's the
so
problem.
again, from the layman's perspective, if 16 became 15, or sorry, going 14, 13, if it was lessened, would that be the solution? Because we're talking solutions.
No, I don't.
Because
think
everybody's carping about the 16%.
Well, no, I don't think so. I mean, I'm saying that basic food commodities that your common Mwananchi rely on for their day-to-day living, and indeed you and I probably do as well,
right,
should not be taxed at anything other than 0% or be exempt.
Right.
And there's a difference between 0 and exempt,
right,
in terms of the legislation. I'm saying that basic food commodities should not be taxed at a standard rate of tax. Yes, maybe a solution is a lower rate, but I don't think that provides you with the long-term solution. Let me give you another little example, John. Sanitary towels. Under the current law, 0 rated. Why are they 0 rated? They're 0 rated so that the girls can go to school.
Yes, at times when they have their periods and because they don't feel embarrassed enough, and a necessary bit of legislation.
Right. Now
Any parent would say that.
So now what are we doing? We're saying now we're going to make them taxable at 16%. What's the impact? The more affluent in our society will still buy their sanitary towels.
Right.
But in rural Kenya and people living in the urban slums, the girls will not go to school. Let's take another example, condoms. Why were condoms made tax-free? Because we had HIV epidemic in this country.
Right.
And now you're saying, no, let's tax them. So we're going to go back to where we were. Now this is where
But there were the sort of instances where NGO funding sort of provided them to us for free, and we were all very grateful.
We can't live on NGO funding for the rest of our lives. You know, we've got to become self-sufficient in our own way. When the world economy is going through a recession, and in a sense we're in a triple dip recession at the moment.
Right.
Things have not, I mean, even this morning I saw on the news that China is slowing down again.
Exactly.
Now if China is slowing down, that means the rest of the world is slowing down. So you cannot rely on governments in Europe and the US to continue to give us donor funding.
Because they don't have any money themselves.
They don't have any money themselves.
Right. Very last question. It has to be a minute to answer this. I said in your introduction, East Africa, the region. Again, this idea of regional integration, is it going to happen according to the current sort of instantly we'll all be our brothers in Kenya, Rwanda, Burundi? Is this going to happen as quickly as one presumes?
No, I don't think it is. I think, again, great idea. We do need the community. We're moving then from a population of 40 million in Kenya to a larger population of 140, 150 million. The market is much bigger. All regional manufacturers, players will benefit from it.
But in your experience professionally, are we working together towards this ideal, or is it again the history, sort of we hate them kind of sustained?
My big concern today with the East African community is we've got a customs union in place, supposed to be working, goods manufactured in Kenya, country of origin Kenya, going into Tanzania, should go in at 0%. Let me tell you that in some goods, the Tanzanian authorities are insisting on 25% duty. Why? Because they need the revenues. So the whole region has got to move slowly towards that point.
Nikhil Hira, we have to leave it there. Obviously we could continue, but for the moment, thank you so very much for having come.
Thank you for having me on the show.